we are facing and what this might entail. So, you know, that may well be something where it is felt appropriate to raise this, if you like, to a sort of Commons statement issue. But as I say, that I imagine that is something they will be weighing up.
OK, for the moment, Norman, thank you very much. Norman Smith there. Well, let's just recap what we know about the order of events today. Police and the ambulance service were first called to what they called a serious incident just after 2 o'clock. Local people say a man wearing a Help for Heroes t-shirt was hit by a car, then attacked and killed with a machete or sword by the car's occupants. A local MP reports that the dead man is a soldier. The MOD investigates. It's believed police took around 20 minutes to arrive, and after that gunshots were heard. 2 men were taken from the scene by paramedics, one by helicopter ambulance. One of those men is said to be seriously hurt. At about 5:30, it emerged that the Home Secretary has summoned a meeting of COBRA, the government's emergency response committee, in Whitehall. She calls the attack sickening and barbaric. And just after that, senior Whitehall sources say they are treating the killing as a serious Islamist terrorist attack. The men are reported to have shouted Allahu Akbar, and sources say they were of Muslim appearance. Well, I'm joined now by our defence correspondent, Jonathan Beale. And Jonathan, just to pick up on the point I was discussing with Norman a moment ago, obviously there's a lot that we don't know about the specifics of this attack, but clearly senior army officials will be asking lots of questions now about the security of bases, about the security of soldiers.
I think they will. I think there will be a review of all security at military bases after an incident like that. Even though it seems to have happened a few hundred metres away from the actual barracks in Woolwich, you know, all the reports we're getting, all the indications are that the victim, the individual who was killed, was a soldier. We haven't had that confirmed, but he was wearing, it seems out of uniform, a Help for Heroes t-shirt, strong links to the military. This seems to have been a premeditated attack, that the attackers knew what they were doing. They knew who they were targeting. I think, you know, the first job of those in the Ministry of Defence is obviously to identify this individual, which they haven't done yet, to talk to families, because there'll be an awful lot of worried military families out there at the moment, and then to look at the issues about security at bases. Now, you know, this isn't the first time there have been questions about security at bases. All through Northern Ireland and the Troubles, there were, you know, questions about security at bases, and there were incidents involving British soldiers being killed. But this is a new kind of attack. We have had in the past, you know, plots uncovered of radical Islamists trying to kill or target British troops, but not with any success. And I think this is a completely new dimension and will cause you know, a lot of questions and raise a lot of concerns.
And there's also an issue, I suppose, Jonathan, of defence of the streets, because this attack was in broad daylight. So many people around who were witness to it.
Yeah, and as we said, this didn't actually happen outside the gates of the military base, of the barracks, Woolwich Barracks. It happened a couple of hundred yards away, as we understand, in front of a pretty near a primary school. There will be lots of questions about security. I think, you know, you have to look at this, and the police clearly arrived in time to deal with the situation. Now, that may be a bit because these individuals were hanging around, having, as we've heard from eyewitnesses, photographs taken of them and boasting of what they'd done. But the police dealt with this situation. I think, you know, there are some military bases which are higher profile and which have a strong police presence as well as a military presence. But clearly that will be one of the issues they'll have to look at when this COBRA meeting convenes. And they will have to review also simple things like, you know, people in military uniform. I mean, you know, in the 80s you didn't see many of them around. Increasingly with Afghanistan, we've seen a higher profile of the military, in part because of what's happened in Afghanistan. There have been some issues with, for example, homecoming parades, where there have been a minority group chanting against British soldiers for their actions in Afghanistan, but there's been also a lot of public support and encouragement for people to be seen in their military uniform, to connect with the public, the reconnection going on there. But, you know, all these issues will have to be looked at again if this incident is indeed shown to be a terrorist attack on a British soldier.
OK, Jonathan, for the moment, thank you very much. Jonathan Beale. Well, the Mayor of London, Boris Johnson, a little earlier on Twitter, described this afternoon's attack in Woolwich as sickening, deluded and unforgivable, and he said his thoughts are with the victim and his family. And just a short time ago, as he was on his way into that Cobra meeting, he gave a brief statement.
I think it's pretty clear that what's happened tonight in Woolwich is a sickening and unforgivable act of violence, and I know that thoughts of millions of Londoners and people around this country will be with the family of the victim tonight.